Good evening and welcome to Punchline from the Longonot Place here in Nairobi. I am Ann Kiguta. Tonight on the program, Machakos Governor Dr. Alfred Mutua has dramatically claimed that Deputy President William Ruto has threatened him. Dr. Mutua has recorded a statement with police claiming that 3 senior Jubilee Party officials made these threats against him at separate occasions at State House, Nairobi, and he joins us now and for the first time on Punchline. Welcome
Asante sana.
to the program. I'm good. How are you?
You should be doing this. You know, this is more like punchline.
Okay,
you know,
goodness. I think that's called gota or something.
Yeah, like it's a punch.
It's a punch.
It's more a punch.
How are you?
I'm doing very well. God is very good. God has really blessed me, and I'm very pleased that I've been given the opportunity to serve our people because we come from a country that really requires rapid development. So I'm happy. Everything is good. I'm very optimistic about life.
Optimistic about life, yet at the same time alleging a plot against your life by the Deputy President, the Senate Majority Leader, and the National Assembly Majority Leader. Briefly explain what the trio have said to you.
I think, you know, when the first time, and, you know, it's something that now is under investigation, so I don't really want to keep on talking about it because the police told me, let us handle it, don't keep on talking about it. But basically, they were threatening me. They were telling me that you've been out there talking a lot about us. And I wondered, I mean, how did I talk about you? I mean, I asked Duale, I have never talked about you. Murkomen, I hardly notice you, let alone talk about you. You know what I mean? Because, you know, and then, and their point was you've been attacking the DP. So I asked him, how have I been attacking the DP? Because I never mentioned the Deputy President. You know, hardly. Unless guilty as charged. There are 1 or 2 incidences that I've mentioned him and I'll tell you about them. But I don't. All I talk about is we need a lifestyle audit. People need to tell us, where do you get the planes you have from? Where do you get the vehicles from? Where do you get the land from? Where do you get the money to build this from? You know, and that's a lifestyle audit for me and for everybody. Uhuru Kenyatta has talked about the same. I talk about corruption, you know, why are we poor? We are poor because of deals that are being made. How come in Kenya we're building roads at 100 million a kilometer? 90 million a kilometer, well, it can be done cheaper. Those are the questions that I've been asking. So I'm trying to think, okay, in that scenario, where does Ruto fit in? When I talk about lifestyle audit, when I talk corruption, or when I say that I want to be the president in 2022, that I'm better placed and cleaner than some of the people who've been there.
But what specifically did they say to you that made you, or that has made you believe that they intend bodily harm?
I think the thing is, when Duale and Murkomen, I saw it to them as bullying me. You know, they were bullying me.
They were bullying you?
They were bullying me.
Okay.
And I know, and I think many of the people I've talked to, I met a senior member of government yesterday, who told me, oh, those people are bullies. We know them. They bully everybody. Okay. I think.
So you do not believe that Murkomen and Duale have a plot
it's about,
to
no, you see,
kill you?
They're part of the machinery. They're part of the machinery. They be the errand boys. You know, I don't trust them. They bully, and I think because they bully that somebody said power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So these are people who feel they're in power. These are people who feel that they have money, sudden wealth from nowhere. Extremely sudden wealth, and you know, they can do anything. So when they talk to me, the thing that made me get worried about Honorable Duale, a man I respect very much, was when he talked in lines of what others in the US, you'd be out of office now. When he talks in lines of genocide. When I told him, you remember there's a time, Duale, you stood in parliament and you asked, why do terrorists keep on bombing Isili and keep on bombing Garissa or Mandera, wherever the Somalis live? Why can't you go and bomb somewhere else like Machakos? He asked that.
Yes, but you are saying on this program,
and I told him,
to be very clear, you're saying on this program that the majority leader in the National Assembly is plotting an act of genocide against the Kamba community.
No, let me explain. Let me explain exactly what he said that got us all worried. Because I told him, when you said that, why didn't you attack Machakos? I defended him actually. I went on air and I said, Duale was not talking about Machakos as Machakos. He was using it as an example. Why don't you do it in Machakos, in Nyeri? Which I think is also contrived, because he shouldn't say about it being done anywhere in Kenya, because the people in Machakos or Nyeri or the people in Murang'a or Mombasa are also Kenyans. So I told him I defended you, so that people stop saying don't come to Machakos, you hate Kambas. And then his response, which he has not denied up to now, he's not denied, he said, kwani utafanya nini? He said,
right.
Garissa niko na Wakamba zaidi ya 50,000.
Do you believe that
and
he's
I can
talking
deal with them?
Do you believe that that is talking in terms of genocide, that he is plotting a genocide?
I don't know
True
if he's
or
plotting.
false?
I don't know if he's plotting, but for him to conceptualize that he's got 50,000 Kambas in Garissa and he can deal with them, he needs to tell us, how does he intend to deal with them? Does he intend to pay them? Does he intend to kill them? Does he intend to ban them? These are the things that ban countries.
All right.
You know, and this is not a normal person in the streets. This is a person who is the majority leader of the National Assembly. He needs to answer for that, because regardless whether you are a Kamba in Garissa or you're a Kikuyu in Garissa or whatever, and we've known the things that are happening, for a leader of that stature to make that statement, what does it tell you?
You think he should be investigated by the NCIC?
He should be investigated by the NCIC. In other countries, he should have to step aside. He should not be in office.
Step aside.
He should not be in office. When you talk in those terms, that I can deal with them, I have 50,000 Kambas, he is telling me he is powerful enough, he can probably send people to kill them, or he can do whatever. Kambas are worried.
Do you believe that the president should require him to step aside?
I believe that we need to be in a country right now when things like this happen. This kind of reckless behavior and talk is what has led us to a bloodshed we've seen in this country. It has already led us to the problems we have in this country.
But
and I think there comes to a time,
right.
and this is where we need to change the style of leadership in our country. There comes to a time when we say enough is enough. You know, like they do in Europe, like do in the West. You cannot get away with some of this talk. You cannot get away with saying, imagine if he's telling me this, I'm a governor of a county in Machakos. I'm a party leader of Maendeleo Chap Chap. I've worked in government. I have connections. You know, I have my
And he has the audacity to
and he has the
that.
audacity to tell that to me.
And that's why I'm asking you, should the president
I mean,
be involved? Because we have lots of leaders saying all sorts of things, and we know that we don't have a culture of people stepping aside. Does it, I mean, you're certainly not relying on his goodwill to step aside. So who should require him to step aside? Should Jubilee de-whip him for what he said?
Jubilee should ask him to explain himself. And as he's doing that, he should be out of office.
Okay.
Yeah, because, you know, and the funny thing is, I have received so many calls and so much support from Garissa residents of Somali origin. Okay. They have called me, they have said, Duale does not speak for us.
Let's
talk
about
we live very well with the Kambas.
Senate.
This man is not thinking properly when he says that. That's what they've been telling me.
Okay, let's talk about the Senate Majority Leader.
Yes.
Because you have said that they are bullying you. So do you believe that his remarks to you was purely bullying?
No, I don't think so. Because even at the same time, I'm the governor. I'm the party leader. I'm at a very senior level in this country. I've worked in government for very many years. When you tell me, when you say who you need to fix, I'll deal with him, I'll fix him. What does he exactly mean that he'll fix me?
Politicians fix each other all the time politically.
Yeah. But I'd like to know, let him explain to us what methods he's thinking of fixing me, you know, or dealing with me.
Let me put it this way. What in that "I will fix you" statement made you believe that it has to do with bodily harm? Where is that correlation for you? Because you're a politician, and obviously you know that you all have these wars on the ground.
But let me tell you, when was the last time, just quantify, that a politician stood somewhere and said, I will fix somebody?
Actually, interestingly, I want to read to you 3 statements by different officials that use similar terms. Let's start with the Cabinet Secretary for the Interior, Dr. Fred Matiang'i. June 28th, he says, I quote, "We will be strict with foul-mouthed leaders who are bent on inciting people. I will deal with you," end quote. We have Aisha Juma
So,
in response to...
let
me finish them.
yes.
Let me finish them. In response to Hassan Joho, 27th January, saying, quote, I will deal with you and not the dogs who send you here to Malindi to insult me. We have the Inspector General of Police himself, Hilary Mutyambai, April 8th, saying, I will deal with those who abuse police power. In all these instances, these leaders are talking about dealing with somebody. It's clear that they don't mean...
dealing, and you can see the context that they are talking about. The first one is saying, oh, we'll deal with them. He's the Minister of Security. We'll deal with them according to the law. We'll get the police to chase them, whatever. The police IG is saying, we'll deal with them. The same we say, we'll deal with thugs who are raping women. You know what I mean? That is a context. When Aisha Juma says, we will deal with him, I can see it will deal with them politically. You know, we'll attack them politically, we'll deal with them, we'll get their home base, we'll get the... But they don't say, we'll fix you. Now, when you say, I'll fix you, it doesn't mean that I'll deal with you. I'm going to fix you. It's not that we'll deal... We're at a deal now.
Arguably, you know, they will fix you. Let's talk about Murkomen.
Yes.
Because he was talking in the context of how you have, you know, your reported comments on the deputy president. That was the context. Political comments you're making. And is it not arguable then that what he was saying is that he will fix you politically because of what you have said about the deputy president politically? That's
okay, and I don't disagree with that. It can be politically, but it can also be otherwise. And I don't take things for granted. But that is, I didn't report that one, mainly because of my respect for State House.
Right.
And I thought, okay, that's one incident. These guys, I got very worried about the remarks by Honorable Duale, you know, because it comes out as a warmonger, you know. That's not how you talk as a leader of that stature. But I said, let me be patient. That might have been a one-off. When it happened again now with the deputy president, now that got me very worried. Now you see a pattern, and life is about patterns. Don't ignore things. When you ignore things, you get in trouble. And a lot of things you hear people saying, huyu mama alioa na bwanake, unasikia alikuwa ameambiwa. Huyu mtu alikuwa amesema one day, unasikia bwanake alikuwa amemwonya, wewe siku moja nitakupiga, wewe siku moja. The next thing you know, tunasema tulimpenda lakini Mungu alimpenda zaidi.
Let's talk about the deputy president, because your official Twitter account on Tuesday retweeted 2 tweets that linked the deputy president to the still unsolved murder of Jacob Juma in May of 2016. You retweeted the tweets of Bravin Yuri and Bell Akinyi, and these 2 accounts made those allegations. Are you saying that you believe that the deputy president is linked to the death of Jacob Juma?
Those 2 tweets were not, I did not retweet them as a reference to them. The retweet was, Juma had complained about his life. Nobody took him seriously. And so there are examples of other Kenyans who've complained, people don't take them seriously, and then something happens. And so I was showing that I am not the first one to complain, and I don't want to fall in the same fate as others. So we're not linking him to him, we're using them as examples. And people have complained throughout the years, not just about the deputy president. I don't know whether he was involved in Juma. I cannot speak about, I'm not the police, I'm not whatever. And I would be worried if the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya was involved in an assassination, you know. I think that's the last thought that would cross my mind.
But you're actually claiming that he is plotting to harm you.
Yeah, because I heard it from him. I don't want to speculate about things I don't know about. I don't want to speculate about Juma and others.
So you know, let me
confine myself to what I know 100%.
Okay.
I don't want to speculate about what others might think or blame, because people can blame anybody. I'm not saying he did not or he did. I'm just saying
yet you
that is not my fault.
As a leader, as a governor, you retweeted
to show that there's been examples of people who have said their life is in danger. People ignored them, and something happened to them. So the idea is also take me seriously when I say there's a problem here. Because I didn't just wake up and decide, oh, what am I doing today? Oh, sina kitu wa kufanya, sinikimbie Kilimani nifanye hii. You know,
do you believe police are treating this seriously?
They are taking this very seriously. I've talked to very senior police officers. They're dealing with it seriously.
Do you expect them to question the deputy president?
I hope they question the deputy president.
Okay.
I hope he has to get to say what, you know, what really occurred according to him, you know. Okay. And that's the way it is, because I'm not making this up, and I was not alone.
Okay.
You know, the thing is, there were others around there.
Okay.
I was not alone. But you see, it is not what he said. It is also the way he said it. Because communication, people will tell you, is not just about the words. It's also context plus the body language that goes in. You know, the tone of voice, the look, everything, the capturing, you know. Because I even tried to pull him aside. I said, oh, I was shocked. I said, Your Excellency, we can talk about this. I mean, he basically threw my hand off, you know.
You believe he's a man capable of that?
I believe anything is possible in this continent of ours in Africa.
Ironically, earlier this year, the Deputy President himself claimed that he was the target of an assassination plot. Did you believe him? Do you believe him?
Well, he claimed that people had met and said and said and said. So, I don't know. As I said, let me not talk about what other people say. You see, he said people met and they planned, you know. Me, I'm talking about you told me. It's a very big difference. I'm not saying I heard that so-and-so told you or so-and-so is planning that you will do harm from, you know what I mean? They are very different contexts. So I don't want to be drawn into issues that are not to do with me.
All right. There are those who believe that your claims are a political stunt. I've heard them even refer to Cobra Squad, right? Which was a series that you produced, pretty much saying that this is nothing but pure drama. As far as political commentators are concerned, they are saying that this is a stunt owing to the fact that your claims also come just a week after former Machakos Senator Johnston Muthama declared that a handshake is in the offing between the Deputy President and Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, who is seen as your political rival. Is it pure coincidence that...
It's pure coincidence because, I mean, I didn't tell the DP to threaten me. I didn't tell Akina Duale and Murkomen to say the things they said about that time. You know what I mean? So I cannot hold back just because there are other incidents so that I'm not seen to be influenced by other incidents. This is about my life. This is not about politics.
To those who say that it is because of these allegations, recording at Kilimani, holding a press conference thereafter, what appear to be choreographed protests across the country owing to this statement, that this is pretty much your launching pad for politics and to get national visibility. What do you say to people?
I think people can say whatever they want to say, and people can read whatever they want to read. But for me, it is a matter of a crime, from my perspective, that needs to be investigated. We should take this seriously. And I'm actually very happy that they're talking about Cobra Squad, you know, which I saw Dualo Murkomen honorables saying that it was a failed. You know, Cobra Squad was, I think every Kenyan will tell you, the most successful TV series ever produced. I made so much money from Cobra Squad. We made money from Cobra Squad.
How much money did you make from Cobra Squad?
The first series I made 25 million, paid off my house, you know. Second one I made 11 million. And then we lost one of our actresses. And then I went into politics, so I didn't have time to continue. But then it had lived. I mean, these are shows that I've shown in Uganda. It's been seen in TZ. It's been seen in Zambia. We've sold it to Burundi. These are shows. It's a show that is... And as a result of all this, I was at a restaurant with Lillian the other day with my wife, and one of the waitresses came and said, please, why don't you do another episode of Cobra Squad? Why don't you do a movie of Cobra Squad? So thank you very much, Mheshimiwa Duale and Murkomen, for highlighting and reminding Kenyans of the great show. At least I have something to show.
We're gonna bill you over at Media Max, okay? My producer, make sure we bill him for that. That was a free plug. All right, we've seen you form, or rather forge, new alliances in Ukambani that have left out Kalonzo Musyoka. You're collaborating with your colleague governors Charity Ngilu, Kivuda Kibwana. What is the nature of that agreement, and do you believe that come a general election you can wrestle 1.5 million votes away from Kalonzo, who has been the undoubted supremo for decades, really?
I think there's in life there's a time for everything, and there's a passage of time, and there's a handover from one generation to one generation. And what has been happening in Ukambani is that people have always seen Kalonzo as the only option. There's never been any other option. And regardless of the issues that we've had in Ukambani, people have been aligned to Kalonzo because they've always seen him as the only one. What we want to say is that Mheshimiwa Kalonzo Musyoka is a very respectful man. It's a man I respect, the man I hold in high deal. When he calls me, I pick up the phone. I call him sir, yes. I respect him. And he should be respected. He should not be insulted by anybody. As a leader of our people, he's done some things, but he could have done more. That's my argument. But also where he's reached, I think he has served as well. It is time for somebody else to continue the job.
Do you believe he's no longer relevant, not just in Ukambani, but in national politics?
But see, the relevance right now is not about just the relevance because you're a leader. The relevance we want in our society now is relevance of development. We don't want just to be relevant as a leader, whereas our people are walking around, children with their buttocks outside because they don't have trousers or they don't have clothes, when our children are walking around barefoot.
Do you think he's presided over poverty in Ukambani?
No, he's not just presided over poverty. He's been a point where poverty has grown. I think in Ukambani and everywhere. But I don't think he can offer solutions to the challenges that we face. With the high unemployment rate, what new ideas will he have in terms of transforming our area to create jobs? What ideas will he have to bring more money into the pockets of people? Because unless people have more money in their pockets, people will still die hungry. People in Ukambani line up for food relief, not because there's lack of rain, but because they are poor. Because if they didn't have, if they are not poor, they could have bought food from elsewhere.
Is he a failed politician?
He has succeeded. He has succeeded in other ways, but today, where we are right now, that was then. This is now. He succeeded because we are transitioning from a period of pre-colonialism. So there are those pre-colonial leaders who are elders, who brought people together. Now we have transition.
Wow, you're calling Kalonzo Musyoka pre-colonial.
No, no, it's a principle of pre-colonialism,
right,
where we get into freedom. It's a concept. It's a pre-colonial system that started, and then now we gain our independence to where we are. But right now, we want leaders that will lead us to economic growth. We've had our country, it's all together, everything is well and good, but now we need rapid economic growth, because I went to Singapore. Those kids walking around Singapore are not smarter than the kids in the University of Nairobi or the kids in Machakos or kids that we have. They are not smarter than them. You know, those young men who are designing things or getting jobs in Malaysia are not smarter than the young ladies, than the ones we have here in Nairobi or in Machakos or in Mombasa or in Kitale or anywhere in this country, in Nakuru or in Nyamira.
Fair enough. Let's quickly just talk about the alliances you're forging. You've had 2 meetings with Raila which have hit headlines. Possibly you've had many more, but particularly in July, where you were quoted by a section of the press as saying that you were essentially in presidency talks with Raila, another which led to you campaigning for Imran Okoth, who went ahead to clinch the Kibra by-election. Are you considering a coalition partnership with ODM for 2022?
No, I'm leaving my cards open. All I'm saying is that I'm willing to work with leaders who understand that this country needs people with msimamo and people who care about our people. You know, I'm very, people may not understand me, but I get angry about corruption. And I'll tell you why. And I've worked in government for very long. And
you've been accused of plenty of corruption yourself.
I've been accused, but show me any evidence where Mutua has stolen. You know, people accuse you. They say, oh, you didn't follow procedures. Yes, yes, but show me a shilling that was lost. Or any inflation. Actually, when they accuse me, is when I squeeze so that members of the public can get more.
Is that the only difference between you and other governors that you haven't landed in court yet?
No, no, no. Let me tell you. Let me give you an example of the first accusation, which is no longer there. I was cleared. We were given, and this is, maybe I'm different than many other leaders in Kenya, the way I think, and maybe that's why they don't understand me. We were given 140 million shillings when we got in as governors to buy state-of-the-art luxury vehicles for ourselves and our executive and our ministers. I come from a county at the time that had only 6 ambulances, out of which 4 were not functioning, to serve 1.2 million people. That's pure third world. A county where women were giving birth in wheelbarrows, being wheeled to hospital, in mkokotenis, dying on the streets. So I decided, instead of buying luxury vehicles, why can't I buy cheaper second-hand vehicles, spend 35 million shillings, buy cheaper vehicles, so that the rest of the money, 100 million, I can use it to buy ambulances. Because I think it is immoral for a governor to sit on a back seat of a big car and your people are being carried by wheelbarrows
I don't want us to overventilate these issues,
so,
because, like I've said,
yeah.
you've been mentioned
let's
numerously. But let's end it at this. Do you believe you are under investigation?
Let me refuse.
To the best of your knowledge, are you under investigation by the
chance.
Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission?
No.
Not at all.
I'm
so
not.
let's leave it there and return to
but
the
also,
question of alliances, because we're on politics right now, sir.
Yes.
And
but I wanted to clear because
no, sir, this is not the forum to clear your name. Like you've said, you do not believe you are under investigation.
I'm just explaining.
Neither are you in court.
I'm just explaining that people misunderstand that when they hear Mutua was being taken for corruption, it is not at money. I was being told, why did you buy second-hand vehicles? And I'm explaining, I'm buying second-hand vehicles so that I can take care of my mothers.
Save money.
Yeah,
okay,
take care of my mothers.
Fair enough.
And so if I should actually have been given an award
for
you
that.
know, yeah.
Okay, we're running out of time, so I just want to quickly deal with this, because we're talking about alliances, right? And you've said that you're exploring, including with ODM. There has been speculation that the ODM leader Raila Odinga could run for the presidency in 2022. Would you run against him?
I'm going to run for presidency.
Okay.
Or I'm going to run for the highest office in this country.
Okay.
Maybe the presidency, maybe the prime minister, if it's a position of an MCA, that will be the highest office. I'm going to run.
And so anyone who gets into a pact with you should know that you will be running.
Should understand that. Okay. And I've already explained that to Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga. When I went to see him in his Upper Hill office, I told him I'm running for president. And it's time to hand over the baton. And he understands that. He understands that.
What did he say?
He laughed about it. He said, it's good. He said, go around the country, you know, campaign. It's the same thing that other leaders have told me. Go sell your name, campaign, you know. And it was actually a welcome relief. You know, when I associate with him, we associate knowing where we are going, and we associate because of the things that we are thinking about. And there are issues and ideas we've discussed, and we discuss about Kenya.
Did he promise you his support?
Yes, we've talked about supporting each other.
Raila Odinga said to you, I will support your presidential bid.
No, he didn't say he'll support me. He said he'll support my dream.
Okay, in January 2008, at the height of post-election
which I think is a very unselfish thing, by the way.
You told the New York Times, quote, what is really happening is a continuation of ethnic cleansing that Raila's people are doing to kill the president's people. That's January 2008. You were speaking to the New York Times. Do you still hold that Raila Odinga was responsible for the violence of 2007-2008?
The sentence says Raila's people.
And my question is, do you believe he's responsible for that violence?
I sat down with Raila about the same issue a while back when he was the Prime Minister, and I asked him. A lot of people died when ODM people, and he explained to me, he said he was not responsible. And he told me who was responsible. He said he was shocked because he said, actually, if I can use his exact word, he said, it's a curse for us as a Luo. That's what he said. For us as a Luo to kill people. I cannot kill, because
so you
if you
believe
kill,
he was not responsible.
It will come back to haunt me and my family and others. And he told me the people who might have been within his camp who actually orchestrated. And there are things that Raila know, and there are things that I know because I was in government. There are things that I've read files, the reality of what happened at that time. You know what I mean? And when I said Raila's people, I did not say Raila Odinga. I said Raila's people because there was a team. It's clear why I told the New York Times people. I didn't say Raila Odinga. I said his people.
But you
because
said
I know he was the leader of that
he told
band.
you that there were people in his camp who orchestrated it. Who in his camp orchestrated it?
Let me say, as I said, I don't like repeating things that others have told me. I would rather they say it themselves.
But you know, who in his camp was responsible for it.
I know.
Don't you think that Kenyans need some closure on that matter? So with information like that, why have you not come forward to authorities and said that I know that these are the people who are responsible for the 2007-2008 violence?
I mean, I was a witness in the ICC. You know, I was questioned, and I filled my statement. So my records are there.
Does that statement just belong to the ICC? Is it not for Kenyans to know what exactly happened and who was responsible for it?
Time is coming. So a lot of people died. People were burnt in a church. Let me tell you one of the two very sad episodes. one of the saddest episodes for me was somebody calling me from, I think it was Nakuru, who had my number, who called me and told me, kuna watu wanakuja, tunauawa, tutumie polisi. And I was sitting in Ambassador Mudhora's office, and former Commissioner of Police, Ali, was sitting basically next to me with Ambassador Mudhora, the three of us. And I'm on this phone with this man who says, wanakuja, wametoka hiyo village wanakuja, you know, wanaua watu ambao si kabila letu za Kikuyu man, who had my number. And I told her, and Ali is here on the phone, we are trying to call, we are trying to coordinate. The next thing he tells me, wako kwa my neighbor. The next thing, he calling me, we're putting him on, anavunja mlango.
You weren't able to rescue him?
That man was killed.
Do you believe that we are facing similar violence in the next election, or do you think we are past it?
I think we are past that.
Okay.
I think anybody who tries to do anything like that, you know, nowadays they can just pick you up from anywhere and take you to The Hague. I think now we are past that stage of people just thinking they can orchestrate. So that was one. The second one was a woman I met who was undergoing, you know, we met people who are undergoing therapy. And our biggest problem is that she saw the church being burnt with kids inside. And the trauma is not just the church, is that one of the women who was burning in the church threw their baby, you're a mother, I'm a father, I'm a parent, threw their baby outside the church to save the baby. And these young men grabbed that baby and threw that baby back into the church. You know, people have to pay for this. You know, we can't just wish things away. You know what I mean? We can't just wish. The people who perpetrated this will have to pay. And you know, na tunasemanga Mungu si nani? Wanasema Mungu si hadhumani. You know, God will ensure they pay for it in one way or another. Right. Because it is sad. I mean, how do you throw a kid back inside a church? I mean, it breaks my heart. And I want to tell Kenyans, let us not be blinded. You know, yes, we want stability, we want peace, but you said we need to heal and move on. And I think that's where the BBI comes in, to see how we can create a country whereby these things don't have to happen again because of leadership. Yes. But also there's an aspect of greed for power. There's an aspect of violence. There's an aspect of some behaviors in leaders that should not be there. Okay. We should be in a country where we can agree to disagree, like they do in the US, and move on. But we have just about
5 or so minutes to wind up, and because you've brought up the BBI, let's talk about it. And you have said you support it. You've been quoted specifically as saying you support an expanded executive with a directly elected president, a prime minister, and deputy prime ministers. Yet this expanded executive is being touted as a solution to divisive elections. In your opinion, how does it solve divisive elections?
What it does, and this is my proposal, the way I propose is this one. We have a government right now where people feel that if you're not the president, you're nothing. That is why the deputy president is spending, you know, how many hours do you have in a week? It's 24 times 7, you know. He's spending about, if I can just joke about it, 1,000 hours going around the country campaigning, because he really wants to be president. Because the feeling is that if you're president, you know, you have all the power, you know, and everything. And so as a result of that, it becomes a winner-take-it-all system. So we need to divide and lessen the power of the president by getting others to be in the fold, so that it's not one tribe against another tribe. People are already asking, people are already saying, wait a minute, the first president was a Kikuyu, the second president was a Kalenjin, the third president was a Kikuyu, the fourth president is a Kikuyu. Now we want to go back to a Kalenjin. So people are so focused on tribes because they are seeing it's this one position. Nobody's saying, we've had a vice president who is a Masai, we've had a vice president of Kamba, nobody's talking about the deputies. So it's about the position. So we need to share power. And what I said is that we need a president, a prime minister who is fully involved in government, 2 deputy prime ministers and a deputy president. But I want them elected as a suit. As a ticket. So when we go, as a ticket rather, when we go to vote, The same way nowadays you vote for the president and the deputy president, you vote for them as a team. That way you can have 5 or 6 or 7 tribes, and they can form a coalition of 20 different groupings of tribes. And then you have another one and another one and another one. So people, when they go, they know that we are represented in a very powerful position within the echelon of government.
But very briefly, sir, because I'm really pressed to wind up. Having said that, though, whereas there is a tribal factor in our politics, and right now we're talking about divisive elections specifically, I am sure you would agree that the #1 challenge we have had is the credibility of that election, and then leaders therefore being able to accept the election. So to that extent, how does this expanded executive solve the primary problem that people feel when they go to vote, their vote eventually doesn't count?
I think it's because you're voting, and it's because it's usually one person against one person. Now it will be a team against a team. And so I think...
How does that bring transparency in the election?
There are more people involved. There are more people involved. It will not just be Uhuru versus Raila like last time, you know what I mean? It will be this team versus this team. It goes to now to the European model, for example, the French model. But even more important is this. You'll have a president and a prime minister who are working together to build the country. If one fails, if one is weak, the other one will still carry the country. If the other one is weak, the other one will carry the country.
I beg your pardon, but I still must ask you, how do more actors in an election guarantee transparency? Because the challenges that I seem to be hearing from Kenyans, and I hope I'm hearing correctly, is that whereas it may be well and good to expand the executive to sort of have a less powerful president, but that does not guarantee that the Electoral Commission or the systems that govern the election are transparent and adhered to. Are we running away from the real problem? And that the real problem is, does your vote count? And
I think the vote counts. And I think we are going through a transition, and the whole essence of the BBI is to create an environment where we can create our own IBC or other players that are equal. And I do believe that if we increase the power of the people of the different teams participating from all over the country, we'll be able to solve this problem.
Do we need a new independent electoral commission before we go into 2022?
I've not thought about it, but we may need to tinker it a little bit.
Do we need a referendum before 2022?
If we have to adopt the issues that we are covering with the BBI, we need a referendum. Because for me, I'm a believer of one person, one vote. I'm a believer in the power of the people. I do not want people to go and decide for me. I want to be able to decide for myself, because power lies in the people. I'm very, very wary of a parliamentary system whereby the members in parliament decide for us the way forward. They are our representatives, yes. But truth be told, do we really trust that they cannot be bought? They cannot be paid off? If history is anything to go by, if what is happening in the country is anything to go by, it will just be alliances. People will stick to this team, and they'll push for this because they're in this team, not necessarily what is good for the country. So I would rather take it to the people, let the people decide. And it's good for people to realize that this is common. In the US, we talk about the First Amendment, the right for freedom of expression. Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. Fifth Amendment, the right not to self-incriminate. Why are they called amendments? Because they are amendments to the original constitution that were taken to the people to revolt again for them. So let us not be afraid to keep on tinkering our constitution, so that our kids 50 years from now and our grandkids don't have to go to worry about the issues we're worrying about now.
Dr. Alfred Mutua, we're out of time.
Nimesema asante.
Asante, Governor.
God bless you, and welcome to Machakos.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for watching Punchline. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.